Okay, let's have a look at this letter someone posted a day or two ago. I have the criteria here to refer to, so I'll be using that. And let's have a look. Now, there's a fair bit of grammar in this, and one or two other inconsistencies. The first thing here, the title of Miss, but if she is married, wouldn't it be Mrs.? Isn't that usually the title if you are married? So, anyway, wanting to refer Miss Langley, a 55-year-old married woman. Now, do I really need to know this? That she's married, and we can see that she's a woman. Presumably, it wouldn't be a man presenting with this particular complaint. So, okay. Who is presenting this? So, refer Miss Langley for what? What do you want me to do? Your purpose, as you should have seen before. What do you want me to do? What do you want the reader to do? Immediately apparent and sufficiently expanded later. So, referring this patient for what exactly? What is it you want me to do? Who is presenting with the symptoms suggestive of second-degree uterine prolapse? Okay. Now, Miss Langley has been a patient at my clinic. Now, if you're using present perfect, you either use for or since. So, since is a date. So, 2019 if it's a year ago. For 1 year. Okay, so if you're using present perfect or present perfect continuous, we usually have a date. For or since, okay? So, she's been a patient since 2019 or for 1 year. And has a history of menorrhagia and dysmenorrhea during her adolescence. Okay, well that's that's like 40 years ago. Is that relevant? Adolescence? Now, I don't have the case notes here. They were not posted, so I've no idea about this. But as I've said before, what we usually do is, well, I do as my method, is to put myself in the shoes of the reader. Okay, and I think if I were only receiving this particular letter or document with no access to any case notes, which as a matter of fact I do not have access to. So, everything in this letter must be logical and clear. If I've got to ask questions, then it isn't clear and it doesn't work. Okay? And we need to avoid adding irrelevant information and details. So, she's a health inspector. Okay. Why do I need to know that? With 3 children. Okay. Maybe that might be, uterine prolapse. Okay. The younger one is 17, so it was 17 years ago that she had a kid. So we've got something that happened possibly 40 years ago. And the last time that she gave birth was 17 years. So that's interesting, but is it directly relevant or pertinent? And do we need it this high in the letter? And if you want to talk about her occupation, usually you do name, age, and occupation. Writing to refer Miss Langley, a 55-year-old health inspector. That's how you would usually do it. So you've got this here, she's married, though you call her Miss, she's a woman, well, we kind of guessed. You've got her occupation here, so I'm still not clear as to what it is you want me to do. That purpose so far is still not clear. It says here, quick, precise sentence. So I'm reading, and what is it you want me to do? I haven't found out yet. let's have a look. Let's continue. So she initially presented at my clinic. Right, date. What is the date? Put a date. Right, and she didn't initially present. Apparently she's been a patient with you for a year. So you can see my confusion. So did she initially present with this particular problem? Or did she initially present to you a year ago and this has been going on for some time? So if you put a date here, it's going to clear up this confusion. I suppose you mean that she came with this particular complaint and this is what you're talking about, but still, to make it clear, put a date. And we don't even need this anyway. Why does it matter that she's been a patient for a year? We don't actually need this. I would have writing to request further management assessment of Mrs. Langley, whose signs and symptoms are suggestive of blah blah blah. Okay? Then put a date. Tell me what happened. Patient presented. You discovered. You took some action. That's usually what happens in a visit. Now, how can she present with a possible diagnosis? I mean, she's a health inspector, so did she diagnose herself? Surely you would be the one doing the diagnosis. So she initially, or on the 27th or the 18th or whichever date, Miss Langley presented complaining of, with a complaint of, or a history of, blah, 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 blah. Okay? What symptoms? Okay? You know, what did you discover upon examination, blah, 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 for which she was prescribed, commenced on, blah, 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 blah. Okay? That's usually how it would work, you know. The patient comes, oh, doctor, I've got such a pain, blah, blah, blah. You take a look at it, do some tests, take some action. That's how it works. So I'm not sure who diagnosed this. If she diagnosed it because she's a health inspector, or what was the symptoms. So, okay. Subsequently prescribed transdermal patch menopause, symptoms menopausal, symptoms if it's an adjective. Population to a physiotherapist for instruction on pelvic exercises. So that doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of logical progression. Patient comes, patient says, you take a look, you find something, you take action. That's what usually happens. She, Miss Langley. I would use the name at the start. And then pronouns afterwards. How do you spell that? Miss Langley. Represented or presented today. Complaining if you have any consternation of the symptoms. She's gained 10 kilograms in the past 6 months. So again, because you haven't put a date here, I'm confused. I don't know what is going on here, right? So you said, right, she's been a patient for a year. Okay. I don't know when she came complaining of this. So, you know, no idea of the time between this visit and the visit of today. 10 kilogram weight gain in past 6 months. But again, is it 6 months since she came and she's gained it over that time, or has she been gaining weight for some time? You know, I'm not sure what you mean. She accepted not following exercises. She accepted, well, she didn't accept. You mean she hadn't been adherent, she hadn't been compliant, she hadn't been following the physiotherapist. She accepted not following exercise. Well, that's not very grammatic. That's not very good grammatically. In any case, I'm going to go examinations. Her vital signs are normal and stable. So she presented incontinence, worsening symptoms. Are these supposed to be the symptoms that you mentioned here? Hot flushes, vaginal dryness. But that's not the same thing as a uterine prolapse, though, is it? I mean, I'm not an expert here, but I thought that was something else. So we've got uterine prolapse. You don't really say much about that. The pelvic exercises presumably are for that. Okay. Menopausal symptoms. So these symptoms, are you talking about the menopausal ones or the prolapse ones? Okay, organization is unstable. Okay, and what did you do? Did you take any action there? Please note that she declared that could not. Please note she cannot tolerate vaginal pessary. Please note she cannot tolerate or is unable to tolerate vaginal pessary. Therefore, are you writing an essay? Therefore, in view of the above, or simply, I would appreciate it if you could manage this patient. I would be grateful if you could. Something such as that. Referring this patient due to her insistence for further management. Why would she be insistent? What's she insistent about? You haven't really told me. So I'm not very clear what this actually means, because you haven't mentioned it anywhere before. So she's not happy with your management of her condition. Is that so? Why does she insistent? Doesn't really explain what is going on here. Please do not hesitate to contact me when. What? You usually use this. You say something like, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate. Anything you want to know for the queries, please do not hesitate to contact me. But you haven't told me what you want me to contact you for. So, purpose, not very clear. I've got to read all the way down to find out what you want me to do. But again, it's not as clear as it could be. Mrs. Is it Mrs.? Is it Miss? I thought usually if you were married, you usually took the title of Mrs. So as I said, there's quite a lot of confusion here. I'm not going to go over it again. I'm not very sure as to what is going on, what's the situation, some of this information. I don't know why you've told me, why you've presented it in this order. I'm not really clear as to what is going on. It's very vague, very general, and wouldn't really work at all. Is it immediately clear? Well, not really. Key information, no important details, content from the case notes. Well, I'm not really clear, really. Some irrelevant information, I think so. Logic, not always. Language, not too bad. Some stuff, minor strain, but I don't think you would be getting a very high score for this particular letter. Okay, so we need to be clear. What is it you want? Then logically present it. You're telling a story, constructing a narrative, and this letter here doesn't really work. If I've got to ask some questions and it's just not, it's not clear. If I have to ask as a reader, what does that mean? How does that work? You were hit what? For 1 year? When? How? What? Why? If I've got to ask these kind of questions and it's just not clear, not logical and clear, and, not going to work. So that's what you've got to do. Okay. Right. Hope that helps. I might do some more videos depending on what's in the group, but this is for, of course, OET right now. So if you want to join us, if I get a chance, maybe I'll be able to assess your letter as well. So hope that helps.